Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Will your team fall victim to the trap? Today we're taking a look at every ACC team's biggest trap game heading into 2022, why it's such a big trap game, and how that team might fare going into this upcoming season. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right on into this list, guys. Again, we're not sharing our predictions for these trap games. Those predictions will be coming out here in just a few weeks, so make sure to stay tuned for those. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss those if you have not already. We're going to go ahead and start talking about these, though, starting at the top of our list with Clemson. Yes, they did not win the ACC last year. Yes, people think the dynasty is over, but yet many people still have Clemson ranked in their top 10, and many have them possibly returning to the college football playoff in 2022. So, who is their biggest trap game? It's none other than Wake Forest on September 24th. That is the biggest trap game for them. We've said over and over again that the ACC Atlantic will be decided between Clemson, Wake Forest, and NC State. How all three of those teams fare against each other. The Tigers annihilated the Demon Deacons, who were a top 10 team at the time, in Death Valley last year. Now they have to go to Winston-Salem to take on Sam Hartman, who once again is the best quarterback in the ACC this season, and obviously a Wake Forest team that won the Atlantic just last year. So Clemson, major trap game on the road against Wake Forest. If you don't like that answer, the other trap game is November 5th at Notre Dame, both of which will have major implications on Clemson's not just ACC title hopes, but playoff hopes as well. Wake Forest's biggest trap game is October 1st at Florida State. Why is that such a big trap game? It's because it's the week after Clemson. So, again, we talk about that all the time with the Alabama hangover, or really any team that's coming off such a big game. If Wake Forest defeats Clemson, they're on a high. They are in the driver's seat of the ACC Atlantic. There's always that big letdown game. In Tallahassee, not an easy place to play. A Florida State team that's on the rise, getting better, could pose as the biggest trap for them. Or Wake Forest is down on themselves after a devastating loss to Clemson, and they slip up for the second time, and then ultimately end their ACC title hopes on the road at Florida State. So that game in Tallahassee, a major trap game for the Demon Deacons, and a lot of it could be determined on what happens in that Clemson game. Their outcome against Florida State could be decided by what happens a week prior. NC State, those are those top three teams we mentioned. We think their biggest trap game is November 25th at North Carolina. And the reason we say that is for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's a big-time rivalry game. Anything can happen in rivalry week when you're playing a rival. The other thing is if NC State is at the top of the ACC Atlantic, if they are in the driver's seat of the division, UNC could easily spoil all of that. They could ruin that for the Wolfpack. Last game of the year, they're one game away from maybe clinching the division. Maybe they're playoff contenders because we believe the Wolfpack can be, and maybe UNC ruins it. They nearly pulled off the upset over the Wolfpack last year. NC State had a wild comeback in the final minute to win that game. Could we see an upset, and could we see the Wolfpack's title hopes come to an end in that season finale? To me, that is the biggest trap for Dave Doeren and his squad. Louisville. We didn't see many ACC matchups that we viewed as trap games for the Cardinals, but the game at UCF certainly could be one. Scott Satterfield is in desperate need of a big season, which means they need to get off to a strong start. This game at the Bounce House in Orlando is a major trap game and could start slowly unraveling what could be a bad year for Louisville if they fall to UCF. One game doesn't ruin everything, but what will the morale of the team be going forward? We know Mikey Keene is back at quarterback for UCF. Gus Malzahn's there, fresh off a 9-win season, his first year in Orlando. Louisville, UCF last year was an instant classic, but that was at Louisville. Now it is in Orlando at UCF. Can the Cardinals pull off this win in what I believe is a major trap game early in the year, just week 2 of the season? Florida State, their trap game is at Syracuse. Their trap game is at Syracuse. We have seen Syracuse give Florida State some scares in recent years. We've seen Syracuse defeat Florida State in recent years. And the Seminoles will be coming off a game against Miami, which, again, another big-time rivalry game. Are they high after an upset win over the Hurricanes? Are they low after losing to the Hurricanes, whether it was close or in devastating blowout fashion? Regardless, they have to go to the Carrier Dome. So they're going to be in the state of Florida, got to go up the coast to the Carrier Dome to take on Syracuse, a team that narrowly missed out on a bowl game last year, needs a big year from Dino Babers, has a dangerous dual threat quarterback in Garrett Strader. All of those things combined for me make this a big trap game for Florida State, and a loss here simply would just be unacceptable for Mike Norvell and the Seminoles. So watch out for Syracuse if you are Florida State. Not their toughest test of the year by any means, but maybe one of the biggest traps of the entire year. Syracuse, their trap game. Virginia at the end of September. So the end of the first month, we kind of view this Virginia game as a major trap because kind of similar to Louisville, like we were mentioning, Dino Babers needs a big start to his year. And Syracuse could be off to a solid start. Could see them at 2-1, 3-0 maybe going into this Virginia game. They need to defeat Virginia. They need this win over the Cavaliers. And it's kind of a trap game as they start to get into the bulk of their ACC schedule. Virginia, obviously a new head coach in Tony Elliott, but one of the best quarterbacks in the country, I would say, in Brennan Armstrong. Virginia probably would be favored in this game, maybe slightly heading into the Carrier Dome. But for Syracuse, this is a trap game and one that could completely alter the course of their season going forward. So watch out for the Cavaliers if you are the Orange. Boston College, we think their trap game, September 10th, at Virginia Tech. Again, there weren't many games later in the year that we viewed as major trap games for the Eagles, but Blacksburg is always a difficult place to play. And we don't know quite yet what to expect from Virginia Tech. New head coach in Brent Pry, new quarterback, whether it's going to be Jason Brown, but more than likely it's going to be Grant Wells. Virginia Tech is kind of entering full rebuild mode. But still, it is a very difficult place to play. Bill Jurkovec from Boston College is finally going to come back, hopefully fully healthy from his injury he suffered last year. How does he respond in one of the bigger games of the year for Boston College? They open up with the season against Rutgers, and then they take on Virginia Tech on the road. So really early, two early big tests there, one of them coming on the road in a very hostile environment. So to me, that's a kind of a trap game for Boston College for a team that's hoping to finally get over the hump and win 7-8 games finally in the regular season. Pittsburgh, the reigning ACC champs, their trap game is October 22nd at Louisville. This game comes after the bye week for Pittsburgh, so they're well rested, which could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, especially if Pittsburgh's hot before the bye week. Sometimes those bye weeks come at bad times and they kind of cool your team off, even though they are getting a lot of rest. The road game at Louisville will pose a threat because they're going to be facing one of the most dangerous and elusive dual threat quarterbacks in the country in Mikael Cunningham. So that is something that Pittsburgh's defense has to be prepared for. A Pittsburgh defense that was relatively solid last year. Question is, will they be again in 2022? Off a bye week, on the road, a Louisville team that most people expect to win maybe 6 or 7 games in 2022. Can Pittsburgh handle it? That to me is the trap game. Again, fresh off the bye in October. Miami, this to me is a no-brainer. Their trap game is Virginia, October 29th. It comes before that Florida State game. So you might be looking ahead a little bit to your big-time rival that you're going to face a week later. It's on the road, and you're facing a dangerous offense and Brennan Armstrong and Tony Elliott. So a Virginia team that has hung with Miami before, has defeated Miami before, sometimes when we don't expect it. Now Miami has to go on the road to the Cavaliers, who will be a dark horse contender in the ACC Coastal, and a Virginia team that has every piece necessary to upset the Hurricanes in their first year under Mario Cristobal. So this, to me, especially if Miami is in the hunt for an ACC title at this point, is a major, major trap game and just, to me, screams possible upset. Miami needs to watch out for Virginia and that offense on October 29th. Virginia Tech, their trap game, we actually have 4 straight. Actually, the rest of these, I should say, none of these trap games are even residing in the ACC. That's how crazy this is. Virginia Tech, their trap game, November 19th at Liberty. It was just a few years ago we saw Liberty upset the Hokies in Blacksburg. That was with Malik Willis. But just because Malik Willis is gone now doesn't mean Liberty's going to start tanking. They still got Hugh Freeze. He's recruited well. He's built up that program. Liberty can hang and defeat Virginia Tech. Again, a team that's kind of in rebuild mode under Brent Pry. Not very high expectations for the Hokies in 2022. Liberty has everything they need to upset Virginia Tech. They've already done it before. They can do it again. And to me, this is a trap game for Virginia Tech, especially with it being so late in the year. If the Hokies are flirting with bowl eligibility, this game will be huge and could make either the next week a make-or-break game for the postseason, or this game right here could end the Hokies' postseason hopes, depending on how well they fare. Virginia, November 19th as well. Coastal Carolina, a great quarterback battle. Brennan Armstrong at Virginia, Grayson McCall at Coastal Carolina. The Chanticleers, we've seen them take down some quality opponents before. Again, have everything they need to come on the road and take down Virginia. Everything they need. They've got continuity at the head coaching position, continuity at the quarterback position. The defense is usually pretty solid. Coastal Carolina is a trap game for Virginia. Again, are the Cavaliers playoff contenders? No. Will this affect their ACC title hopes? No. But it could affect their bowl hopes if they're kind of floating with that bowl eligibility. And right there at the end of the year, I can see Coastal Carolina kind of coming out of nowhere, springing this upset, and Virginia needs to be mindful of that. North Carolina, the season opener at Appalachian State, or at least week 1, we should say. There is week 0 on August 27th. But week 1, September 3rd at Appalachian State. UNC currently is just a 3-point favorite. That shows you how much people think App State could win this game. On the road against the Mountaineers, Chase Bryce is back at quarterback. The Mountaineers are no stranger to upset. They're no stranger to upsetting UNC, doing so just a few years ago. UNC dealing with a lot of changes. New quarterback, Sam Howell is gone. Disappointing 2021. It's a major trap game and would continue the disappointment from 2021. People think UNC is going to bounce back this year. But the disappointment would just carry over into this next season if they drop that game to App State. Georgia Tech, UCF again. So 2 teams, trap games at UCF. The Yellow Jackets, no one's expecting anything big from them. Really, most of the ACC opponents they're going to face, I don't think the Yellow Jackets will be favored. You could see the Yellow Jackets be slightly favored against UCF, possibly. Even that's a long shot. I don't think the Knights are going to have much of an issue with the Yellow Jackets, and to me, this is a big trap game. Dropping a non-conference game, which would spell trouble heading into the bulk of a difficult ACC schedule. And then finally, Duke, a basketball matchup, September 24th. They take on Kansas. This, to me, on the road. I forgot to put that on there. It is on the road. Kansas guys, yeah, they're not great, but they showed signs of life last year in their first year under Lance Leipold. They were competitive towards the end of the year, beat Texas in that overtime thriller. Kansas should be a little bit better now in year 2 under him. Duke, new head coach, quarterback questions. To me, this is a game that Duke needs to win. If they want to try to salvage a semi-decent year, I don't think many have them going bowling, but still. But this is the game that Kansas is going to be a lot more difficult than maybe it would have been just a few years ago. So that is the trap game for Mike Elko and the Blue Devils early on in September. So there you go, guys. Those are your trap games for every single ACC team. Will your team fall victim to the trap? Do you agree or disagree with these trap games? We want to hear from you, but we will give you our official predictions for all of these games, actually the entire schedule for all of these ACC teams here in just a few weeks. So if you're not subscribed to us, make sure you do that so you don't miss out on any of the content we have for you. But of course, guys, until then, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share the videos, become a part of what we're building here at the channel, become a part of our GE Nation, and help us grow. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.